The Galactic Council was abuzz with activity. Representatives of over 1,000 species filled the sprawling amphitheater, their forms ranging from gaseous clouds swirling in containment fields to towering crystalline entities refracting the artificial starlight. It was a momentous occasion, one that marked humanity's official invitation to join the interstellar body. For centuries, the Galactic Council had served as the arbiter of peace and progress, uniting species across the Milky Way. Humanity's emergence as a spacefaring civilization had been closely monitored, their rapid technological advancements surprising even the most advanced species. But the Council had also noted humanity's peculiarities, their unpredictable nature, their propensity for conflict, and their remarkable resilience. When Earth's delegation arrived, they were greeted with cautious optimism. The humans had chosen their representatives carefully, a diverse group of diplomats, scientists, and leaders, all clad in tailored suits and exuding an air of confidence. At the head of the delegation was Ambassador Elaine Carter, a seasoned diplomat known for her eloquence and unflappable demeanor. The Council's supreme arbiter, a being known as Galactic, a towering insectoid with multifaceted eyes that glimmered like jewels, began the proceedings. Humans of Earth, Galactic intoned, their voice resonating through the chamber. You stand on the threshold of galactic unity. We offer you a place among us, to share in our collective knowledge, prosperity, and peace. How do you respond? Ambassador Carter stepped forward. Her gaze swept across the assembly, her expression unreadable. The humans had prepared extensively for this moment, analyzing every aspect of the Council's protocols and history. But their response would be anything but expected. Honorable members of the Galactic Council, Carter began, her voice steady. We are deeply honored by your invitation and the opportunity to join this illustrious assembly. However, after careful deliberation, we must respectfully decline. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of reactions. Gasps, murmurs, and bursts of light and sound filled the air as the representatives processed the unprecedented announcement. No species had ever refused membership in the Galactic Council. It was unthinkable. Galactic raised a clawed limb, calling for silence. The chamber gradually settled, though an undercurrent of tension remained. Explain yourselves, the Supreme Arbiter demanded, their tone a mix of curiosity and disbelief. Why would you turn down such an offer? Carter nodded, her expression somber. The decision was not made lightly. Humanity values its autonomy and independence. While we admire the Council's achievements, we believe that joining at this time would compromise our ability to chart our own course. We have much to learn and contribute, but we must do so on our own terms. The representatives exchanged glances, their various forms conveying a mix of confusion and indignation. A reptilian delegate with shimmering scales leaned forward. Do you not understand what you are rejecting? The Council offers unparalleled resources, advanced technologies, and protection from existential threats. By refusing, you risk isolation. We understand the risks, Carter replied. But humanity has faced adversity before. It is in our nature to thrive in the face of challenges. We are not rejecting cooperation or dialogue with the Council. Rather, we seek a partnership of equals, one that respects our sovereignty. Another delegate, a cephalopod-like being whose tentacles writhed in agitation, interjected. Arrogance. That is what this is. Your species is young and untested. You cannot hope to survive alone in a galaxy fraught with dangers. Carter's gaze hardened. We are well aware of the dangers. But humanity's history is a testament to our resilience. We have survived wars, plagues, and natural disasters. We have reached for the stars not out of complacency, but out of an unyielding desire to overcome the impossible. The chamber fell into a tense silence. The humans' defiance was unlike anything the Council had encountered. For millennia, species had vied for the privilege of membership, seeing it as the pinnacle of advancement. Yet here was a species that dared to say no. Galactic's multifaceted eyes studied the humans intently. Your resolve is admirable, if perplexing. But understand this. The galaxy is not a forgiving place. By remaining outside the Council, you forfeit its protections. Should calamity strike, you will stand alone. We understand, Carter said firmly. And we are prepared to face the consequences. Humanity will continue to seek knowledge and build alliances, but we will do so on our own terms. Cthulhunak regarded the humans for a long moment before inclining their head. So be it. The Council's invitation shall remain open, should you reconsider. But know that this path you have chosen is fraught with peril. We appreciate your understanding, Carter replied. With that, the humans turned and began their departure from the chamber. The eyes of the galaxy were upon them, their decision a bold and unprecedented statement of independence. Back aboard their ship, the mood among the delegation was a mix of relief and apprehension. Carter looked out the viewport at the swirling stars, her thoughts heavy with the weight of their choice. "Do you think they'll respect our decision?" one of her colleagues asked. "For now," Carter said. "But we've sent a message today. Humanity isn't afraid to stand alone, and that, more than anything, will shape our future in this galaxy." As the ship prepared to return to Earth, the humans knew they had embarked on a path fraught with uncertainty. But they also knew that their greatest strength lay in their determination to forge their own destiny, no matter the cost. Chapter 1. The Invitation. The chamber was a kaleidoscope of light and sound. The Galactic Council Hall, located on the artificial moon of Ascaris Prime, housed representatives from over 1,000 star systems. It was said that a new species' first appearance here was a spectacle, a ceremonial welcoming into the fold of interstellar cooperation. Today, it was humanity's turn. Ambassador Lysara of the Elysians, a crystalline species known for their diplomatic prowess, hovered at the center podium. Her voice resonated in harmonious tones, amplified by the hall's acoustics. "Today, we welcome the species that calls itself humanity," Lysara began, her crystalline facets refracting the light into prismatic beams. "A young race, ambitious and curious, whose rise to the stars has been nothing short of extraordinary." The human delegation, led by Ambassador Elena Cross, stood behind a polished obsidian table. Their faces were calm, betraying none of the turmoil they'd felt upon arriving. The vast array of alien beings before them was overwhelming, creatures of every imaginable shape and size, their eyes, appendages, and forms trained on humanity with a mix of curiosity, caution, and expectation. Elena rose, her tailored suit immaculate, her voice steady as she addressed the hall. "On behalf of Earth and its people, I thank the Galactic Council for this invitation. Humanity is honored to be considered for membership in this esteemed assembly." Polite applause rippled through the chamber, though some representatives exchanged furtive glances. Humanity had been watched from afar for decades, their rapid technological advancement and fractious history a topic of much debate. Could a species that had spent most of its existence warring among itself truly embrace interstellar diplomacy? Lysara gestured gracefully. "Ambassador Cross, the Council has reviewed your species' achievements and challenges. We extend our hand in peace and offer humanity a seat among us. Do you accept?" The question hung in the air, and time seemed to stretch. Elena hesitated. The delegation had rehearsed for this moment, but now that it was here, the weight of the decision pressed heavily. Humanity had always been fiercely independent, valuing sovereignty above all else. Joining the Council meant accepting its rules, its oversight, and its influence over Earth's future. It was not a decision to take lightly. "Madam Ambassador," whispered one of her aides, a young diplomat named Harris. "We need to give them an answer." Elena took a deep breath. "Thank you, Lysara, and thank you to the Council. Humanity acknowledges the tremendous opportunity and responsibility that comes with your offer. However, we must deliberate further. We request time to consider." A murmur spread through the hall. It was unprecedented for a species to hesitate. Most leaped at the chance to join the Council, eager to reap the benefits of shared knowledge and protection. Lysara's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly, a subtle signal of disappointment. "Very well. The Council shall await your decision. We trust you will choose wisely." As the human delegation exited the hall, the whispers followed them like shadows. Chapter 2. The Debate. The human delegation convened in a private chamber, away from prying eyes and recording devices. The room's stark white walls hummed faintly with energy, a reminder of the advanced technology the council wielded. Elena stood at the head of the table, her sharp eyes scanning the faces of her team. Scientists, politicians, military advisors, and cultural historians were all present, each representing a facet of Earth's interests. "Thoughts?" she asked, breaking the tense silence. General Marcus Kane, a towering figure with a voice like gravel, spoke first. "It's a trap. Joining the council means letting them dictate how we run our affairs. Earth becomes just another cog in their machine." Dr. Yuna Patel, renowned xenobiologist, frowned. "That's a cynical take, General. The Council offers unparalleled resources. Imagine the medical advancements alone. They could help us eradicate disease, feed billions, and explore the farthest reaches of the galaxy. At what cost?" Marcus shot back. "We'd be trading our freedom for their tech." "Not necessarily," said Harris, the young diplomat. "The Council isn't an empire. It's a coalition. Cooperation doesn't mean subjugation." Elena held up a hand to quiet the brewing argument. "Let's focus. The question isn't just about what we gain or lose. It's about who we are as a species. Are we ready to be part of something bigger than ourselves?" Dr. Patel leaned forward. "This is bigger than politics. The Council's knowledge could save lives, not just on Earth, but across the stars. Isn't that worth some compromise? And what happens when their laws conflict with ours?" Marcus countered. "What if their ideals clash with our values?" Harris hesitated, then spoke carefully. "Every species in the Council has faced this choice. They've all found ways to maintain their identity while contributing to the greater good." Elena sighed. "And yet, we're not like other species. Our history is one of division as much as unity. We've fought wars over ideologies, resources, even the color of our skin. Can we present a united front to the galaxy when we've struggled to unite on our own planet?" The room fell silent. The weight of humanity's turbulent past loomed large over their deliberations. Finally, Elena straightened. "We'll reconvene tomorrow. I want detailed assessments from each of you. Pros, cons, risks, and contingencies. If we're going to make this decision, we need to be sure it's the right one for all of us." As the team dispersed, Elena lingered by the window, gazing out at the stars. She couldn't shake the feeling that humanity stood at a crossroads. One path led to collaboration, the other to isolation. Both carried promises and perils. For better or worse, the decision would shape the future of Earth and its people, perhaps forever. Chapter 3. The Rift Widens. The chamber of the Galactic Council had never been quieter. Representatives of over 100 species sat in stunned silence, their vibrant exoskeletons, shimmering scales, and bioluminescent patterns dulled by the gravity of the moment. Human Ambassador Eliza Marlowe stood at the center of the semicircular hall, her sharp suit and steady gaze a stark contrast to the chaos she had just unleashed. "Ambassador Marlowe," rumbled Zarltan, a towering, crystalline being who represented the Zeni. His voice resonated like chimes in a storm. "You have declined the Council's most generous offer of integration. Do you understand the implications of your actions?" Eliza's jaw tightened. "I understand perfectly," she replied, her voice firm. "Humanity values its sovereignty above all else. We will not be subsumed into a bureaucracy that prioritizes conformity over individuality." Gasps rippled through the assembly. Diplomacy had been the cornerstone of the Galactic Council for millennia. Species resolved disputes through dialogue, avoided conflict through negotiation. Yet here were humans, rejecting that foundation outright. Ambassador Marlowe, interjected Tval, a sleek, amphibious delegate from the oceanic planet Orcs. "Surely you see the benefits of shared resources, advanced technology, and collective defense. Refusing membership in the Council isolates your people. It makes you vulnerable." Eliza's lips curved into a thin smile. "We appreciate the concern, but humanity has thrived through adversity. We are explorers, innovators, survivors. Isolation is not a weakness. It's a crucible. The council erupted into murmurs. Some delegates argued fervently, their gestures wild and expressions incredulous. Others whispered among themselves, casting wary glances at the human delegation. Only a few sat in contemplative silence, their alien features inscrutable. Ambassador Marlowe, Zarltan said, his voice cutting through the noise. History has shown that species who reject unity often meet untimely ends. Are you willing to gamble the future of your kind on pride? It's not pride, Eliza replied. It's principle. Humanity will cooperate when it aligns with our values. But we will not be coerced into a system that demands we relinquish what makes us unique. The council adjourned in disarray, the usual order and decorum shattered. As Eliza and her delegation left the chamber, their footsteps echoed ominously. The eyes of 100 worlds were upon them, and none of them were friendly. Chapter 4: Fault Lines. Earth's decisions sent shockwaves through the galaxy. On the human homeworld, opinions were as divided as the stars were numerous. Some hailed the choice as a declaration of independence, a bold statement that humanity would not bow to external pressures. Others decried it as reckless, a move that could isolate Earth from vital allies. Eliza returned to Earth to a hero's welcome and a storm of criticism. At the United Earth Assembly, she faced a grilling from representatives who feared the fallout of her actions. Ambassador Marlowe, snapped Representative Harris, a gray-haired veteran of interstellar politics. Do you comprehend the economic repercussions of your decision? Trade routes are already being rerouted away from Earth. Several species have hinted at sanctions. Eliza remained calm. We anticipated resistance. But humanity has resources, ingenuity, and determination. We'll adapt. Adapt. Harris's voice rose. You've alienated the most powerful alliance in the galaxy. Our survival depends on cooperation, not stubborn idealism. And what would you have us do? Eliza shot back, her tone sharp. Surrender our autonomy? Become just another cog in their machine? Humanity deserves better. The debate raged on, but Eliza held her ground. She knew the risks, but she also knew the rewards. By rejecting the Galactic Council's overtures, humanity had gained something invaluable, the freedom to chart its own course. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the Council convened an emergency session. The humans are unpredictable, said Tval, addressing the assembly. Their refusal to join us poses a risk not only to themselves, but to the stability of the galaxy. We must act. But how? Asked Zarltan. We cannot force them without violating the very principles we uphold. Principles mean nothing if chaos reigns, Tval retorted. The humans must be shown the error of their ways, through persuasion if possible, through pressure if necessary. As the council deliberated, a silent understanding spread among its members. The humans had drawn a line in the sand. What remained to be seen was how far the council would go to erase it. Chapter 5: Fractures in the Council. The Galactic Council Chamber, a sprawling amphitheater of glimmering alloys and crystal domes, buzzed with tension. News of humanity's outright rejection of diplomacy had sent shockwaves through the assembly. Delegates from the Zarthic Confederation argued with the silent precision of their thought-sharing symbiosis, while the Vexus Enclave hurled verbal barbs at anyone who dared question their own interpretation of the situation. This is unprecedented, barked Vexer ORL of the Vexus, his 6 eyes flashing a furious shade of crimson. No species has ever turned down an invitation to join the council. Not even the Zarkin when their son was dying. From the center podium, Council Speaker Goran, towering, silver-scaled Marnokian, attempted to restore order. Delegates, we must not let this development divide us. Humanity's decision, while unconventional, does not constitute hostility. Unconventional, scoffed Delegate Phyra of the Arcani's Spire. It's madness. They have access to the knowledge and resources of countless civilizations, yet they choose isolation? What could they possibly hope to gain? The chamber erupted once more. Accusations flew between factions. Some argued that humanity's refusal hinted at a hidden agenda, perhaps even a threat. Others speculated that the species' relative youth in the galactic arena had left them ignorant of the Council's significance. Yet a few voices, though quieter, suggested something different. "Perhaps they see something we do not," murmured Tynessa Vel of the Zephyrian Continuum. Her melodious tones carried through the din like a calming breeze. Humanity has always acted in ways that defy conventional logic. Recall their history, their art, their exploration, their conflicts. Perhaps this is not rejection, but a form of self-preservation. Speaker Gorin nodded solemnly. "We must understand their perspective before making rash assumptions. I propose we dispatch envoys to Earth, neutral representatives, to learn more about their reasoning. This council is founded on unity, not division. Let us uphold that principle." The motion passed, but unease lingered. Humanity's choice had shaken the very foundation of the council, and fissures were beginning to form. Chapter 6: Earth's Defiant Answer. On Earth, the reaction to the Galactic Council's diplomatic overtures was equally charged. In a sprawling meeting room deep within the United Earth Alliance's headquarters, leaders and advisors debated the matter with fervor. "The Council's offer is generous," stated Ambassador Liang, her tone measured but firm. "Access to advanced technology, interstellar trade, and security alliances, the benefits are immeasurable." "At what cost?" retorted General Hassan. "Have you read the fine print? We'd be obligated to adhere to their laws, integrate their technologies into our systems, and share critical resources. We'd lose our autonomy." President Evangeline Marlowe, seated at the head of the table, listened intently. Her steely gaze swept across the room, taking in each argument. "We need to think long-term," she said finally. "What does joining the Council mean for humanity's identity? Our independence. It means survival," Ambassador Liang pressed. "We cannot afford to isolate ourselves when we're still finding our footing in the galaxy." "Survival isn't the same as living," countered Dr. Kellen Hart, a leading cultural anthropologist. "If we join now, we risk being subsumed, our culture diluted, our priorities dictated by species that don't share our values." The debate raged on until President Marlowe raised her hand for silence. "Enough. We've heard all sides. Now let's remember why humanity sent that first message back to the stars. We didn't seek to be ruled. We sought understanding, exploration, and the freedom to chart our own course." A hush fell over the room. The decision was clear. The following day, a transmission was sent back to the Galactic Council. It was succinct, yet resolute. "To the esteemed members of the Galactic Council, we are honored by your invitation and recognize the significance of your offer. However, humanity must decline. We value our sovereignty and believe that meaningful cooperation can exist without formal integration. While we remain open to cultural exchange and collaboration, we will not join as a member species. Respectfully, President Evangeline Marlowe, United Earth Alliance." The message reverberated across the galaxy. To some, it was a declaration of arrogance. To others, it was a bold assertion of humanity's independence. But to the humans of Earth, it was a reminder of their enduring spirit, a refusal to bow, even to the stars. Chapter 7: The Ultimatum. The grand hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with crystalline walls that refracted the ambient starlight into a dazzling array of colors. Representatives from over 100 species had gathered, their forms ranging from gaseous clouds confined by containment fields to towering insectoids with iridescent exoskeletons. Yet the center of attention was not the diverse assembly, but the human delegation. The leader of the human delegation, Ambassador Eliza Monroe, stood at the center of the chamber. Her calm demeanor belied the storm of reactions she was about to unleash. Dressed in a simple navy suit, she was a stark contrast to the ornate garb of other species diplomats. Her message, however, was anything but simple. "The United Systems of Earth and its colonies," she began, her voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics, "have reviewed the terms presented by the Galactic Council. After thorough deliberation, our answer is no." A stunned silence followed. The silence stretched on for a moment too long before erupting into chaos. Holographic displays around the chamber began flashing as council members communicated frantically with their home systems. The room filled with an unintelligible cacophony of languages, many directed at the humans. The council president, a being of the HFY species whose translucent skin revealed the pulsating organs beneath, struck the floor with a staff that emitted a resonant hum. The chamber quieted, though the tension was palpable. Ambassador Monroe, the president's voice resonated. Perhaps you misunderstand. The terms are not merely an invitation. They are the foundation for integrating your species into the galactic community. Eliza met the president's gaze, or at least what passed for a gaze among the HFY. We understand perfectly. And it is precisely because we understand that we decline. A representative from the Vixarath, a serpentine species known for their predatory cunning, hissed, "Your species risks isolation. Refusal is folly." Eliza turned to address the room. "Let me be clear. We value cooperation and mutual growth. But the terms offered place humanity in a subservient position, relegating us to little more than a vassal state. We will not trade our sovereignty for access to your technology." The Andelian representative, a creature resembling a living crystal lattice, interjected in a voice that resonated like wind chimes. "You cannot hope to advance without us. Your species is young and vulnerable." Eliza's expression hardened. "Humanity has faced extinction more times than I care to recount. We've weathered disasters, wars, and challenges that would break others. We'll chart our own course, as we always have." The president's voice cut through the murmurs. "Then you leave us no choice but to consider you a rogue element. The Council cannot permit unaligned civilizations to disrupt the order we have maintained for millennia." Eliza nodded. "We anticipated as much. Should you decide to take action against us, know this. Humanity will not go quietly." The chamber erupted again, but Eliza had said her piece. She turned and walked out, the human delegation following. Behind them, the counselors debated their next move, but one thing was clear: humanity had drawn a line in the sand. Chapter 8. The Human Gambit. Back on Earth, the reaction to the Council's ultimatum was as divided as it was passionate. News networks broadcast the Council's threats alongside footage of Eliza Monroe's defiant stance. Citizens debated the wisdom of defiance, while leaders across human-controlled space convened emergency sessions. In the United Systems Command Center, a sprawling complex hidden beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Marcus Vega reviewed strategic reports. The Council's fleets were vast, their technology advanced beyond human comprehension in many areas. But humans had one advantage: unpredictability. "They'll come," Vega said, addressing a group of military leaders and scientists. "The question is, how do we make them regret it?" Dr. Asha Patel, a leading physicist, stepped forward. "We've been developing countermeasures based on the limited scans we've obtained of their ships. If we can deploy our experimental disruptor arrays, we might level the playing field." General Sofia Alvarez frowned. "Might isn't good enough. We need guarantees." "Guarantees are a luxury we've never had," Vega replied. "What we have is ingenuity and the will to survive. That's always been enough." Meanwhile, Eliza Monroe was briefing the United Systems Council, the governing body of humanity's interstellar territories. "We've sent our message," she said. "Now we need to prepare for the fallout. The Council won't back down, but neither will we." A representative from the Martian colonies leaned forward. "Do you believe we can win if it comes to war?" "Winning isn't just about survival," Eliza replied. "It's about showing the galaxy that humanity isn't a species to be underestimated." As preparations continued, an unexpected development unfolded. A small delegation from the Thalassari, a reclusive species known for their neutrality, arrived unannounced at Earth's lunar embassy. Their leader, a being whose flowing form seemed more liquid than solid, requested a private audience with Eliza. "We have watched from the shadows," the Thalassari envoy began. "Your defiance intrigues us. Perhaps there is more to your species than we believed." Eliza raised an eyebrow. "Are you offering support?" "Not support," the envoy clarified. "Perspective." The Council's unity is not as absolute as it appears. There are those who question its rigidity. Exploit that, and you may find allies where you least expect them. The envoy's words planted a seed of hope. As humanity prepared for the worst, Eliza and her team began exploring the cracks in the Council's facade. The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity's gambit was just beginning. Chapter 9: The Fracture. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was quieter than usual, a palpable tension filling the air as representatives from dozens of species settled into their respective places. The holographic image of Earth hovered above the central dais, its serene blues and greens a stark contrast to the storm brewing within the chamber. Chirac, the Zalari ambassador, shuffled his 6 spindly legs nervously. His kind had always been adept diplomats, weaving compromises from seemingly irreconcilable differences. Yet the humans had proven peculiar. We offered them technology. Zyrn of the Trevelyan hissed, his elongated neck swaying. We offered them star charts, energy resources, and alliances. What species refuses such generosities? The humans, Chirac muttered, his antennae drooping. They refuse everything. They insist on their independence, despite all logic. From the far end of the chamber, Representative Sarah Blake of Earth stood silently, arms crossed. Her face betrayed no emotion as she observed the alien dignitaries who debated her species as though humans were absent. Finally, the council speaker, a towering Vorak whose bioluminescent skin pulsed with irritation, addressed her. Representative Blake, your refusal of our overtures is unprecedented. Humanity is young, untested. Isolation is not sustainable. Why do you reject diplomacies? Blake stepped forward, her boots echoing on the polished floor. Respectfully, Speaker, diplomacy as you define it comes with chains that bind us to your conflicts, your hierarchies, your expectations. Humanity will chart its own course. A murmur spread through the chamber. Zyrn's voice rose above the din. Arrogance. This is arrogance beyond reason. Do you believe your primitive planet can survive the galaxy's chaos alone? Blake met his glare. We don't believe. We know. The room erupted into chaos. Various species shouted or hummed in disapproval, their voices clashing like a cacophony of storms. The speaker raised his massive hand, silencing them. This defiance will not go unnoticed, Representative, he said gravely. The Council's protections will not extend to Earth. If you face external threats, you will face them alone. Blake's lips twitched into the faintest smile. Understood, Speaker. We'll take our chances. As she turned to leave, the council members exchanged uneasy glances. None of them had expected this. Humans had always been unpredictable, but this was something else entirely. Chapter 10: Calculated Defiance. Are you out of your mind? Colonel David Grant's voice crackled over the secure comm link as Sarah Blake strode onto the Earth Embassy's observation deck. Good evening to you too, Colonel, Blake replied calmly, sipping from a steaming mug of tea. Below her, the glittering expanse of a distant nebula painted the sky in hues of violet and gold. Don't good evening me. The Council's going to blacklist Earth. We'll be cut off from trade, denied access to vital resources. You've painted a target on us, Sarah. David, she said, her tone soft but firm, we've spent decades preparing for this moment. Every refusal, every strategic deflection, was deliberate. There was a pause. When Grant spoke again, his voice was quieter, almost incredulous. You're telling me this was the plan all along? Of course, Blake said. The galaxy's power structure isn't built to accommodate equals. They'd have made us dependent, ensured we'd never rise beyond their control. By rejecting their offers, we've forced them to show their hand. And if they retaliate, Grant pressed. Blake smiled faintly, gazing at the distant stars. They underestimate us. Every time. They see our youth as weakness, our independence as recklessness. But they forget our greatest strength, which is adaptation, Blake said simply. They've never faced a species that learns as fast as we do, that turns every challenge into an opportunity. Let them come. We're ready. Back on Earth, the skies over major cities shimmered with the faint glow of orbital defenses, their designs reverse-engineered from the very technologies the Council had once flaunted. Deep in subterranean facilities, scientists and engineers pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible, unencumbered by alien oversight. And across the solar system, fleets of human ships patrolled, their crews unified by a singular purpose: to protect the fragile independence their leaders had so boldly declared. As Blake stood watching the stars, a message pinged on her personal comm. It was from the Council speaker. Earth's defiance will lead to its undoing. You cannot stand alone. She typed a single reply. Watch us. Chapter 11. The Price of Unity. The Galactic Council chamber was a maelstrom of voices, a cacophony of languages and dialects that even the Council's universal translator struggled to keep up with. Delegates from hundreds of species shouted, gestured, and debated with frantic intensity. And yet, amid the chaos, the humans sat silently, their faces inscrutable. "This is madness," roared Ambassador Ketsith of the Triarn Collective, his 3 pairs of eyes glaring at the human delegation. "You cannot seriously mean to refuse diplomatic ties with the Council. It is an affront to the principles of intergalactic cooperation." Commander Ellen Voss, the appointed spokesperson for humanity, leaned forward, her piercing gaze cutting through the noise. "Ambassador Ketsith, humanity is not refusing cooperation. We're refusing subservience." Her voice, calm yet unyielding, echoed in the chamber. The statement rippled through the room, silencing most of the chatter. The Galactic Council was not accustomed to such defiance. Most species sought membership as a matter of survival, eager to benefit from the Council's resources and protections. But humans, it seemed, were not most species. "Subservience," hissed Ambassador Varen of the Julketh Union, her serpentine form coiling in irritation. "The Council offers guidance, technology, and security. What you call subservience, others call progress." "Progress that comes with a leash," Voss retorted. "We've studied your treaties, your mandates, and your so-called guidance. They strip member worlds of their autonomy and homogenize cultures under the pretense of peace. Humanity has no intention of surrendering what makes us unique." A murmur of both agreement and dissent spread through the chamber. Some delegations, particularly those from younger or marginalized species, exchanged knowing glances. They, too, had chafed under the Council's heavy hand, though none had dared to voice their grievances as openly as the humans. "Your defiance endangers not only yourselves but the fragile balance of the galaxy," intoned High Chancellor Lorith, the insectoid head of the Council. "Unity is our strength. Without it, chaos reigns." Voss's expression hardened. "Unity at the cost of freedom is tyranny. Humanity has faced chaos before. We've survived it. And we've learned that sometimes it's better to stand alone than to kneel together." The chamber erupted once more, voices clashing in a storm of outrage and admiration. But the humans remained unshaken, their resolve a quiet fortress amid the tempest. Chapter 12. The Seeds of Revolution. The human delegation's rejection of the Council's term sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. News channels buzzed with commentary, debates raged in public forums, and whispers of dissent began to stir in the darker corners of the galaxy. In the sprawling megacity of Valora Prime, a clandestine meeting was taking place. Representatives from species both prominent and obscure gathered in the shadow of humanity's bold stance. They were united by a single, seditious thought: perhaps the humans were right. "They've said what we've all been too afraid to," murmured Thal, a diminutive yet fiery member of the Morlith Coalition. "The Council's unity is nothing more than a veil for control." "But what can we do?" asked Kaeldar, a towering Thrixian warrior. "Defiance means annihilation. The Council's fleets are unmatched." "Not anymore," came a voice from the shadows. The assembled delegates turned as a human stepped forward, their face partially obscured by the hood of a utilitarian cloak. It was Lieutenant Marcus Chen, one of Commander Voss's trusted advisors. "The Council's strength lies in fear and fragmentation," Chen continued. "They keep us divided, so we'll never realize our collective power. But humanity is willing to share what we've learned, what we've built. Together, we can level the playing field. A hushed silence followed his words. The idea was audacious, bordering on reckless. But it was also intoxicating. "And what do humans want in return?" asked Thal, her eyes narrowing. "Nothing," Chen replied. "We're not here to replace the Council with another empire. We're here to show you that freedom is possible." Skepticism lingered, but so did hope. For the first time in generations, the seeds of revolution were being sown. And as the meeting dispersed, the galaxy's status quo teetered on the brink of collapse. Meanwhile, aboard the human flagship Resolute, Commander Voss watched the distant stars through the observation deck. She knew the road ahead would be fraught with peril. But she also knew that humanity's defiance had sparked something powerful, something that even the might of the Galactic Council might not be able to extinguish. "They're starting to listen," said Chen, stepping onto the deck beside her. Voss nodded, her expression grim but determined. "Then we'd better make sure they have something worth listening to."